Here's what he had to say.
I would critique the coverage of this story by the networks and the cable giants. I would probably give them a C minus, with Fox on the low end. And ironically, networks like MSNBC pretty much in the C plus range, very likely because they are, retreating to stereotypes of the people, either at Zuccotti Square or wherever, as hippies or drum beating, savages, and they are not. I mean, this is not an organized movement, as say with the Tea Party, where you had conservative business people, conservative politicians, and PAC groups basically orchestrating what the grassroots was doing. I mean, this is true grassroots. So maybe there is a bias on that level. There's also bias on the level that, Wall Street funds the corporations that have owned these media outlets since the 1980s. So I would say a C minus.
And how do you think that the coverage of this event by the mainstream media is affecting public perception of this movement?
Public perception of this movement is very, very weird. You have the kind of 1960s kind of meme going on where, people are trying to either channel the 60s in a positive way or refer to it in a negative way. I mean, for example, you have, say, on MSNBC, particularly in Rachel Maddow's show, and say The Nation magazine, which is on the left, trying to channel this leftist grassroots sort of approach. On the right, with Fox, it's basically looked down upon. I mean, almost smugly, not even condescendingly. I mean, almost like with disdain. And it also fits into their kind of the 60s were bad meme, where you have, radicals and bra burners and, angry Black Panthers, that kind of a thing. I mean, they're actually trying to dredge that up. And you see that in the coverage on Fox. And you see that in the comments by people like Representative Brune, Republican from Illinois, or Peter King, a Republican from New York, basically dredging up those old 60s stereotypes.
And lastly, Chris, we saw one congressman, Peter King. He says that he's gone on the record saying that it's important for people in the media to not legitimize this story, that it's dangerous to bring attention to this story. What's your reaction to that?
Well, he's reading from the talking points, basically, that you see, across the GOP now, from Brune to Eric Cantor to Peter King, who should know better. Because that, he's from New York, and I'm sure he even knows some of these kids and some of these older people who are working people who've gone out there to support them, whether they're in unions or not. I mean, this is reading from the same playbook from the 60s. Don't legitimize the protests because it'll get larger and these people don't represent America. Well, what they're saying is we do represent America. We're just brave enough to go down there because we're young, and that's what young people do. And I think there are a lot of older people that really side with them on this. And again, I think this is just from the Republican talking points, if you will, to try to delegitimize this movement, because it isn't a formal movement. I mean, not like the Tea Party. When you look at their comments about the Tea Party, then, it's a little, then they're supportive. But that is, the rank and file were grassroots, but they were being financed, manipulated, et cetera, by rather organized forces. So it's I don't fault Peter King for saying what he says, in that it fits into what their strategy is. I'm just saying he should know better.
And that was Chris Chambers, journalism professor at Georgetown University. And from Los Angeles to Chicago to New York, as we've proven, RT is keeping up to the minute with what's going on in the Occupy Wall Street movement. And I want to let you know our intrepid producer, Lucy Kafanov, is in the midst of all the action in New York with the latest, hottest news from Occupy Wall Street. So if you want to know exactly what's going on the ground, you can follow her at Lucy Kafanov. And from New York to Los Angeles, homeowners facing foreclosure loudly expressed their shared grievances of the Occupy Wall Street movement. RT's Ramon Galindo shows us how those affected by the financial collapse are fighting back against the system.
Protesters took over a Bank of America branch in Los Angeles and were willing to get arrested in order to send a clear message to Wall Street.
We come out today to let the banksters know you've stolen all the money from the land and we want it back.
More than 1,000 people have taken to the streets of Los Angeles. Now this movement includes people from Occupy Los Angeles in solidarity with Occupy Wall Street. And we have here people who have just been foreclosed on. Plenty of police here in force in order to keep this crowd in check.
The anti-corporate mobilizations, which started in New York, are spreading, and now some of the most affected by the nation's economic crisis are joining in. Rose Goodell received an eviction notice after falling behind on her mortgage payments.
I'm a state worker, and due to that, I was furloughed, which means they lowered my hours, so that also lowered my pay.
Goodell also had a death in her family, which caused further financial hardship. She claims her bank refused to deal with her when she tried to renegotiate her mortgage. Goodell was arrested during a peaceful sit-in earlier in the week, but she believes that this type of political action will bring results.
They've been really governing a lot of our money and just taking it, and there has to be a stand, and I think this is the stand that you're seeing at this point.
From struggling homeowners to the unemployed, people of all walks of life are becoming emboldened by the recent street demonstrations.
2 years ago, I lost my job due to the economic meltdown that the banks created.
Javier Sarmiento used to work at an auto parts plant. He is part of the 4.5 million people who have been unemployed for more than a year. Now, this father of two is struggling to hold on to his home.
Wall Street created this mess, and they should be held accountable.
Diverse groups have made up the mobilizations in cities across America in recent weeks, as more people become inspired to vent their frustration with our financial and political institutions.
Dissent is the highest form of patriotism.
There's still uncertainty about whether these protests will cause direct change or whether other self-interested groups will try to capitalize on the popularity. But it appears that the financial state of the nation has helped motivate Americans to take democracy to the streets.
I want to recognize our comrades and our brothers and sisters in the struggle. Occupy Los Angeles!
In Los Angeles, Ramon Galindo, RT.
And before we go, I want to take a second to welcome and congratulate the city of Philadelphia. The city of brotherly love is the newest city to get our channel. We are now able to reach over 2 million additional viewers, and we are very excited about this latest expansion. So congrats again. Well, that does it for now. For more on the stories we covered, go to rt.com/USA.